Hi YouTube. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Growing up, South Carolina was always my family's favorite vacation destination. It had been about 15 years since we'd been back to Hilton Head Island, and my parents were itching for another family vacation. When your parents offer you something, like a beach vacation, male pattern baldness, or anxiety, you take it. Cue the meticulously edited travel montage. After an uneventful flight, we discovered that our room was giving major double-wide Harry Potter vibes, so we decided to hightail it down to the beach. But not before I loaded up a familiar friend with my first roll of black and white film ever, some HP5 Plus. The plus means it's extra good. Not bad for a first frame. After determining the water was too cold for my taste, I took one of our rental bikes to explore the beach. A lot of the sand is super compact, which makes it perfect for biking. My brother and I always like to see how far we could fishtail in the sand before one of us inevitably fell off the bike and hurt ourselves. I came across this trailer working on its tan and found myself already regretting my monochrome film choice. But film photography is all about committing to the bit. Why do you think I continue to invest in an outdated, dying format? The local wildlife didn't seem to mind the paparazzi. Sweaty and a little delirious, I liked the way this plant looked in the stairwell, so I went through the trouble of setting up a tripod for a point-and-shoot camera. It was not worth it. Freshly showered and with the sunset fast approaching, it's time for me to introduce my new camera. It's a Mamiya 645 Pro TL. I'll eventually make a video detailing this camera, but all you need to know is that it's a medium format and it shoots 120 film instead of 35mm. I recently purchased this example with an 80mm lens and a 150mm lens from my good friend and supporter of the channel, Evan. Thank you to Evan. Here you can see me loading some Ektachrome into the Mamiya while my sister does an excellent job holding the camera. Sunset that evening wasn't anything to write home about, but I'm not one to complain about beautiful weather on a beach. I did manage to catch a dolphin with this shot, so that's pretty neat. Here's your reminder that slide film has very little exposure latitude. So if you meter for the shadows and add one stop like you normally do, you get shots like this. More blown up than a bouncy castle. In preparation for the next day's sunrise, I loaded up my second film back with some Portra 400. And with that, day one was in the books. The unfortunate part about seeing the sunrise is that you have to be up before the sun rises.
Ready to go see the sunrise? All right, let's go.
I love the mood of this shot. Ektachrome is the perfect blue hour film if you can manage its slow speed. With the sun fast approaching, it was time to set up for the main event. It's important to remember that not every shot can be a winner, but you can always wind on and try again. I'm quite impressed on a technical level that a slide film with
very little exposure latitude
was able to expose the death rays of the sun and still keep detail in the dark sand. Good job, Kodak.
Come to South Carolina and get yourself a free black pro mist filter, courtesy of the atmosphere.
The eagle-eyed among you might notice a little bit of light leaking. Don't worry, we'll get to that later.
The sunrise and us.
I love this portrait of my dad. He's never one to shy away from getting up early to see the sunrise or take an early morning swim, and I really admire that about him. As I was admiring the gorgeous brick shape of the Mamiya in the early morning sun, a flock of birds flew overhead. I pulled the lens cap off, slammed the lens to infinity, and managed to capture this. This is why I continue to take photos. The mountains of average work just kind of melts away when you manage to be in the right spot at the right time with the right settings. It's extra special because I couldn't even recreate this photo if I wanted to. A lot of times you forget exactly what you were taking a picture of when you go months between shooting and developing like I do. But this was one frame that didn't leave my mind the whole time. I was very excited to see it, and I could not be happier with how it turned out. With the photographic peak of the trip behind us, my dad and I headed back to our rental, and I discovered its odd name. We passed the rest of the morning with coffee and some more HP5. The entire lower third of Hilton Head Island is part of a gated community filled primarily with retirees who like to play golf, but also some family-sized rentals. They also have an extensive network of multi-use paths, and use them we did, stopping of course for the local wildlife.
He likes your cameras.
He refused to say why he was crossing the road after intense questioning. And we ended our loop back at the beach. At this point, extremely overheated, it was time for an ice cream break.
Are you filming yourself doing that?
Yep.
And of course, more local wildlife. And then it was back to the beach. I call this pair entropy. After another successful day of we opted for the preferred pastime of the locals, golf.
What's going on here?
I'm winning. I get a high score.
Oh, Dad.
Aaron and I both managed to come in under par, so if we ever go back, next round's on us. In addition to destroying the extremely advanced double black diamond mini golf course, I also managed to kill the roll of HP5. I can understand why it's a staple for so many people given its price, but when you shoot it at its native 400 ISO, it produces a disappointing amount of contrast. All the images you've seen here have had their contrast tweaked in post. When I shoot this film in the future, I'll probably push it 1 or 2 stops, because that seems to be what all the cool kids are doing. In an attempt to save our skin, the next day was going to be a non-beach day. So we did what you always do in a new part of the country. Go to the nearest major city and do touristy things. For us, that meant we'd be heading to Savannah, Georgia for the day.
Now, if you bring the $100 bill closer.
I loaded the Nikon with some Fuji 200, which has quickly become my budget film of choice, if you can consider any aspect of shooting film budget friendly. We had some time to kill before the planned activities for the day, so we walked around River Street, which is named after this canal or something.
Georgia.
If you're ever in Savannah, I recommend you stop at Wet Willie's for the following reasons. Their many flavored slushies are the perfect treat to beat the heat, and they contain enough grain alcohol to kill a small horse. Shout out to my camera's built-in stabilizer for helping me out after one small slushie. Thoroughly sloshed from the slush, it was time to meet up at an old bank where we boarded a trolley tour where we were enchanted by some of Savannah's finest community actors.
Savannah has also honored me with the grand statue in Chippewa Square. It humbles me to no end. Speaking of ends, I must depart for fine company, but please do take the time to enjoy the beauty and charm that is the city of Savannah. I bid you all farewell and enjoy your tour.
The lobby, they have portraits of great people that were here to here. Lawrence Marcus, she would wait.
To be real for a second, if you like history or 18th century urban planning, I would highly recommend the tour. Before heading back, we swung by Grayson Stadium, home of the Savannah Bananas. If you don't know about the Savannah Bananas, today's your lucky day. You should go look it up. You won't be disappointed. My video camera died on the way out there, so this mossy tree is all I have to close out our time in Savannah. I will definitely be returning when I have the opportunity. The next morning, the sun was coming up, as it usually does. I was once again out there trying to capture it, but this time I brought my digital camera.
Oh my god.
I know, blasphemy, but I'm proud of the pictures, so the film purists can go rage in the comments or something.
Keep that bang on you.
And also, the film pictures weren't great. That was the end of the line for the roll of Portra 400, and my dad had some sage tips for all you budding photographers out there.
Set it down in the sand and go for it. Yeah.
Beach sand, famously great for cameras.
after not putting my camera in the sand. Dad, it was donut time. Tune in next episode to find out if I remember that retroreflective surfaces fool the Nikon's autofocus. We were also out of coffee creamer, so Aaron and I had to complete a small side quest. It was the last day of vacation, so naturally that meant more bike rides and, of course, more wildlife. This lighthouse also posed a unique opportunity to do a direct film comparison. You'll notice the Ektachrome leans blue and the Fuji 200, which you'll recall is actually Gold 200, leans orange. Very on brand of them. With some white balancing, the two can be brought much closer together. In this state, I like the colors of the Fuji 200 a little bit more, but I prefer the composition on the Mamiya. Plus, medium format slides are the closest thing to magic I can think of. Turning our attention to the Pro 400H, you might notice some slight discoloration. Yeah, I don't know for sure what happened, but I have some theories. Prior to this trip, I'd only put one roll of film through the Mamiya, and it turned out alright. Of the 9 rolls that I shot since then, only the 2 Ektachrome rolls came out perfect. The remaining 7 were all damaged in some capacity, with 3 of them being almost completely unusable. It's possible that since I'm fairly new to medium format, that my loading and unloading technique is subpar and needs some work. It's also possible that there was a mistake made at the lab, considering that both of the Ektachrome rolls were fine and the color negative rolls weren't. They would have been processed on separate machines at separate times, likely by separate technicians. I'm not accusing my lab of making a mistake, but it's a possibility. It's also possible that both or neither of these explanations are correct. It's just kind of the nature of shooting film and waiting months for it to be developed. And now my photography lives up to the name of the channel. Later that night, we returned to the lighthouse to have dinner, where I almost got violently sick after eating. Maybe my body could just tell that the Pro 400H wasn't going to turn out and was just sickened by the amount of money that I was wasting. But it takes more than a little tummy ache to deter me. So that was South Carolina on 35mm and medium format. I came away with a few portfolio-worthy shots and successfully put the 645 through its paces, despite the light leaks. The trip was really fun and a nice break from the usual grind. We couldn't have asked for better weather, and getting to spend time with my family is always a plus. I don't get to see them as often as I would like. I especially liked hanging out with my dad in the mornings watching the sunrise. But what was your favorite photo? Do you actually like the light leaked photos? Let me know down in the comments below. And I'll do my best to get the next video out in less than 3 months. But I'll see you in the next one.